What's up, everybody? Bitcoin halving day. We got to talk about some charts. What is happening? Where is this market going? We're going to be diving into it here in just a moment. So everybody hit that like button. It's the halving day. What's going on? I think those launching and the launch and price actions right around the corner. So everybody, let's get involved, and we're about to break down some really important charts. So let's get excited. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome to the BitLab Academy stream on the day of the Bitcoin halving. Shout out. We got Alexander G in here, just gifted 5 memberships. Big love to each and every one of you. We got to talk about it because the markets, the prices, things are chopping around. We had a scary little bit of price action overnight with everything going on with all this information, misinformation, what's going on with that geopolitical tension. But when we're looking at the charts and we see where we are going and where we're at right now, let's get hyped up. Bitcoin's at $64,500 on the day of the halving. Over $3,000 for Ethereum. BNB up about almost 560. Solana 145. It went pretty low yesterday. Cardano 47 cents. Avalanche. We're seeing a bit of a rebound on a lot of these price action. This dip, see this V-shaped recovery? This is what ruins most people's lives in this market. They see a dip and they're scared and they hop out only to have it rebound. Then they hop back in and it dips back down. They get back out. Do not get chopped out right now when we have all these things on the horizon for what's going on. I want to shout out every single one of you that's here right now. Any of you that have been around since last January, February, March, when we launched this channel. We're up over 36,000 subscribers. We have just been rocketing lately. So big love to each and every one of you. Everybody hit that like button. If you are watching and you're not subscribed, look down below this video, subscribe and join us here. We got some big things to talk about today because we're seeing a lot of twisting and turning and a lot of very important things going on in these charts. And we've got to talk about it. We got to talk about what's happening. Bitcoin historical bullish pattern. Have you noticed the previous cycles that the monthly candle coming immediately after the one breaking out from the ceiling never closed below it? The same monthly candle is above the ceiling at the moment. What is he talking about? Right here, the ceiling, the previous all-time high, previous all-time high, previous all-time high, previous all-time high. Now looking at these monthly candle closures, it never came back below. Monthly candle closure right here never came back below. Same thing, never came back. Even right here, we got close to it, but now, I mean, we on the monthly basis. Remember, if you're looking at the daily, we did have wicks below this $19,000 level down into some scary price action. But on the monthly candle bodies, never closed, never went back down below. We're sitting right at it now. Things are a little different this time, and there's a bit of shaping of what's going on, but we got to talk about what this halving means and where we're going. Everything is getting a little bit chopped out right now in terms of this fear and greed. This is what we want to see. We do not want to see it super overheated. We're seeing things shape up right now for very bullish price action, but that does not mean immediately. We have to know, we have to pay attention to what's going on. And remember, this is setting up. Once we get into a bull trend, if we look at this on the heat map, this is a fear and greed index on the heat map. Once we get into that, that very strong bull market, it stays almost in extreme greed all the way up and then chops around until we get this top. We're sitting right here, similarly that we did back here when we did that run from 3,100 up to 14,000. Then we had to sell off, but then it's similarly right here. Now, this time is different in that we have so much more capital flow, but you have to realize just because we have more capital flow in this market doesn't mean things are going to go excessively parabolic just because of that. Remember, the market cap of this asset is so much larger than it was in previous cycles that we not only want those new capital flows, in order for us to expect anything like we saw in the last cycle. For instance, the last cycle we did about a 3.5x from the previous all-time high. If we're expecting even at that or even slightly below it, we need exponential new capital flow coming in. So we can't just say we have all these ETFs, price is going to go to $1 million immediately in this cycle. That's not how this works. That could happen, but we have to be a little bit more concerned and a little bit more data driven about what's going on and where we're at right now. Everybody sees a halving, and there's a lot of people that are very new to this space that says, maybe I should wait until the Bitcoin price halves because of halving. That's not how this worked. It's a halving of those rewards to the miners. It's a halving of the new supply issuance that happens daily when these miners are securing every transaction block, right? So how much impact does it have? Well, we have some things that we're going to talk about to cover this and realize even the traditional asset space, fear came way down. Now there's two different contexts here because we are on, are we still good? Okay, it looked like my thing froze there for a second. We did have a little bit of a fear last night, and we have to pay attention to that correlation between the S&P 500 and Bitcoin. We're coming into what has been previously the most bullish time in history for Bitcoin, which is post-halving, and everybody wants it to go straight up from here. But there's some things that we have to pay attention to. First thing, before we get into that, this is from Dr. Jeff Ross. It's not just about the price action. We have to realize we are participating in a revolution of technology that's changing the way we're interacting with each other. The wheel was an advancement. Electricity was an advancement. Even indoor plumbing was an advancement in technology. Internal combustion engine, the airplane, the internet, and now Bitcoin, internet interconnectivity. If we come over here, I just want to share something before we get into some more charts. This is important because every single one of you, we are all missionaries for this asset class, and we want to orange pill as many people as possible, but doing it in an effective way. I shared this last night, especially when we saw the Iran-Israel conflict see a sharp dip off in price, and you see somebody like Peter Schiff saying, well, look how much it sells off. Well, here's the deal. What confuses people is that Bitcoin is an incredible store of value, but it's also being a 24/7 liquid market, thus making it most immediately responsive to risk. Traditional markets are closed at various times. What market is open 24/7? This market. So you're going to see more immediate impacts of price action when you see big news events of people hedging, being scared, and then all of a sudden, as we see, price rebounded right back to where it was. In fact, we did not, we tapped just below 60,000 overnight, but we've been holding that level, which is above the short-term holder cost basis, which I've been sharing with you all here on a regular basis. So the fact that we have this 24/7 liquid market, making it immediately responsive to risk and news, this is not a flaw. It is a feature. Look closer. It is a new form of money, storable value, future estate, not just real estate, but future estate. And it's a conservation of energy. You're using energy for a proof of work. And then you store that energy into a transactable value of Bitcoin, thus conserving that energy for the life of that Bitcoin. It's a conservation of energy, but it's also a conservation of your energy, because if you work hard and you transact money that you have into Bitcoin, that value of your time, the time value of your energy spent, is thus then translated into the future versus the US dollar, where the time value that you've spent, the energy you spent to work to earn and save money, is only being devalued over time with Bitcoin. It's transmittable across time and space. It feels ironic because it shares positive principles of various kinds of money and value, thus making it the best asset we've ever known. As a speculation via ignorance and variable intention per individual holder, meaning each individual person has a different intention with how and why they're holding Bitcoin and what their use case is, and whether they're somewhere in sub-Saharan Africa or somewhere in the middle of Manhattan, you're going to have a different idea about what you want to do with it, and a different selling point if it hits a certain price. It makes it more volatile. Okay, this volatility remarkably also drives, and this comes into what we're talking about with the halving. This volatility that some people act like is terrible within Bitcoin, this volatility remarkably also drives the market cycle swings that bring the reflexivity needed for explosive gains. Is when market prices break past previous all-time highs and just start running like they did when we broke past 20,000. It was just running, it just got much quicker, parabolic move. That's because everybody, it's a fear of missing out narrative. Everybody piles in. Now, some people get wrecked, but that's just the nature of how markets work. That's why you're here watching the BitLab Academy. That's why you're in this community. We are in this community together. because I want you to know how to buy low and sell high. We see this is positive. This is a positive thing for Bitcoin. Yes, it crashes. To people focus on the price, but to people watching the data, it has only gotten stronger through each cycle. Those that understand these tenets see an imperative opportunity as price falls because the data and the need for this alternative as a necessity conclusion for empowering freedom. Our world needs transparency. We need trustless networks. We need distributed technology outside of the control of those that wish to use the economies of trade, commerce, and defined value, whatever you want to define as value, as a weapon. Bitcoin is not magic internet money. It is a brilliant culmination of technology and truth, which democratizes all value to be understood, immutable, and equally shared. That's why this is so important. Coming into this having all these new capital flows showing up right now, we need to talk about what's going on. So let's talk about it. So coming in right here is the chart that we need to pay attention to. And I've been talking about this a little bit this week, but this is the most important thing we need to understand. This is not guaranteed, but we can look at the historical action of price relative to post-halving time frame. In this case, we see this early cycle right here. The orange one was the cycle that we went up to 20,000, and then this pink one here is the cycle that we went from 20,000 up to about 64 and then 69,000. But what do you see in common with all of these? Here's the halving. Everybody gets excited, especially newcomers. And I do not want you to mess this up by getting chopped out because it doesn't go up immediately. We've seen in all cases post-halving sideways price action so far up until this point. There's a lot of uncertainty about what's going on. Take the halving and Bitcoin out of it entirely. Just think about assets and investments and trading in general. Take out all the amazing, incredible things that have to do with Bitcoin. This is still a speculative tradable asset. We have a huge news story, ETFs getting launched, and what happened following that. There was a bit of a sell-off. I think it was about 18 or 19% sell-off as soon as it was passed. Now, why would that be? Because people are aware of that, and then once it culminates and it doesn't immediately run, people take some profits, let it run back down, and then re-enter and go up. The smart money. Unfortunately, a lot of people see it dropping and they go, oh, I'm going to sell. Those smart money that we're buying, who are they buying it from? Those of you out there that are selling, be aware of this, and you will save yourself a huge amount of heartache, whether it's 40 days, like the early cycles, whether it's 150 days, like the last cycle. At some point, the supply is not going to meet the demand and price will move to the upside. So don't get chopped out before the blast off. That's what this point is. I shared this. It's on my Twitter page. Make sure you're following me at Kelly Kellum. And on that note, there is something I shared. Ruzba, shout out Ruzba, sent me a message this morning. There's a fake account out there. I do not have a WhatsApp, as this one shows. This is fake, as you can see, KELL1AM. Everybody go to this profile right now, at Kelly Kellum, with the 1 in it right here, and go and report and block this account. Let them know, just set it as they're impersonating me, which is KELLYKELLAM. Let's remove these fakers out there. And continuing on with what we got to talk about. Make sure you're following me. Make sure you're following BitLab Academy. And this is, I don't think we need that. Here we go. This is something that is important for all of us to really understand what is going on with this halving. Let's talk about it. This is from the Rational Root.
Over the past 4 years, 900 Bitcoin per day have been added to the circulating supply. That brings us today to 19.7 million coins in circulation. If we project the supply issuance into the future, we see that the halving causes a reduction from 900 to 450 coins a day. I also show the projection if we wouldn't have a halving, shown by the dark orange area. So the dark orange area shows us that we get a reduction of 655,000 coins over the next 4 years.
You guys understand what he just said? Currently right now, this reduction is going to be about $27 million worth of Bitcoin issued today, but that's at this price. As price goes up, that will obviously change as well. 450 moving from 900 to 450 per day. Now, projecting out into the future, take the US dollar price out of this. Consider what this means in terms of the number of Bitcoin. This is a reduction of 655,000 new Bitcoin that would have been basically released on the market, new Bitcoin. But because of the halving, there's about 650,000 less Bitcoin, new Bitcoin that are going to come onto the market. This is what he's talking about.
Obviously, this brings an imbalance to the supply and demand as the market is used to the slope of that 900 coins a day line. If we zoom out, one might think that the dark orange area isn't that impactful on the scale of 21 million coins. And while it's true that every halving that area gets smaller and the effect of the halving is diminishing, it's also true that about 4 million coins are lost, and an additional 11 million coins are illiquid or mainly used as a store of value. That leaves us with about 5 million coins of available supply at the current price level.
Do you hear what he just said? Yes, feels like a minuscule thing because we have about 19.5 million coins out there, but there's a lot of coins that are held into cold storage forever, illiquid supply. That's what that means. It's not liquid. People are not trading it. They're planning to hold it because they're in wallets that aren't moving. There's also over 4 million coins that have been lost, AKA burned. So even though it feels like such a small impact on what's happening, this actually has a larger effect than when you're looking at just the total supply, the total circulating supply, because we're talking about available supply. There's only about 5 million available supply that's actually readily moving.
Obviously, if the price rises, some of that illiquid supply might be naturally sold for profit. But that brings us to the original point of finding a new equilibrium after the imbalance or pressure caused by the halving.
So that's what's going on right now. The US dollar is on a never-ending pace to just continue inflating, thus never-endingly devaluing the value of your energy spent. This is what people aren't realizing. It's not just the value of the dollar going down. Let me say this. It's not just the value of the dollar going down when they're inflating it, when they're printing, when the money go burr. What's actually happening? Think about it this way. Every time a dollar is printed, and they never print one, they print hundreds of millions, hundreds of billions. In fact, what are we up to? Over $34 trillion in debt, all from this money printing. What effectively is happening, or ineffectively, I should say, is they are devaluing your time value spent to transact your services, your skills, your products, whatever you're doing to earn money. They're devaluing your time because the dollars you're earning over time become less valuable. Well, you earned at a rate of energy spent at a certain dollar level, but then the dollars that you earned are now worth less. Therefore, your time spent is worth less. The US government is devaluing you. Bitcoin fixes this. Bitcoin is audited every 10 minutes. Every computer on this distributed network has to agree on all transactions. No new coins can be added to the total supply. It's fixed. This protects you and your sovereignty into the future. It protects your value spent. That's why Bitcoin is amazing. Now, we got the halving coming up. It's happening today, and we are right here knocking on the doorstep of what's happening here, 10 hours away. If you're not excited, I don't know what to say for you. Hit the like button. Hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. Only about 7% of you have that bell dinged. Look down below the video, turn on notifications so you can get notified when we're going live, because we got some really big things that are coming in this market. We have to be prepared. And a reminder here, a lot of sideways action has happened post-halving every cycle. This is true for Bitcoin. This is true for all your alts. Now, this time could be different. Maybe things get explosive. My point here is do not get triggered, because when we look at what's happening with Bitcoin, when we look at it on this macro scale post-halving, we had, a bit of sideways action back here. But when we zoom in here, I marked it out for you. There's two things here that are very noteworthy to watch. 72 days here, sideways price action, chop up, chop down. I mean, look at this. This is not a small move when you're in it. This is an 18, 20% move to the upside, followed immediately by a 13% move to the downside. And then, oh my God, the bull market's really starting. It's ripping. Let's go. Goes up 30%, only to immediately then crash 20% right after that. This wrecked so many people. This is why in bull trends, you're looking for opportunity to buy when price action does what we know, we talk about all the time, of rise, retrace, continuation. Retrace, continuation. Sometimes it'll be, scary. But when we understand these market cycle trends, then we can take confidence in one, even if you don't know the market cycle, in any asset class, you trade that trend until that trend ends. So when we're seeing something like this take place in this previous cycle, we need to look forward. We need to look forward to right here. We're right on the date of the halving, this line right here. We may chop sideways and really wreck people here that are not prepared. This is why right now is the most important time in history if you are involved in these markets. Look for buying opportunities on dips. Don't be upset if you buy here and then it drops lower. You figure out a way to basically mine some more fiat currency to figure out how you can get either more exposure. And if you can't, and this is not financial advice, this is talking about strategy. If you can't, then sometimes the best medicine in this market is just patience and sitting on your hands. Now, it got a little scary last night, but what did we do? Nothing changed in this market. We're coming up on the most exciting day in history. Some people are like, this means it's going to go up now. Maybe it goes up next week. Maybe it goes up Saturday and comes back Monday. We have to be patient right now, but these are the key levels that I'm watching right here that I have listed on this chart. We can go ahead and delete this one. I don't know why I have two there, but the short-term holder cost base is directly below us. We wicked just above it. We did not get all the way down there. If we look at this right here, we did not get all the way down there, but we sure got close. Same thing happened right here. When we come back over here and we go to the rational root, he just shared this on his page yesterday or the day before. This is what I'm talking about, this scary movement to the downside. And then this is that short-term holder cost basis, the average price of every coin held by people that are not long-term holders, coins that are relatively easy to move. Test to way above it. Didn't even get down to it. But then see rejection. Now test, deviation, test. Nothing is out of context here. And when we're looking at this on this tighter time frame, let's go down to the 4 hour. It felt very scary, right? I was in the charts watching this stuff last night as this was all going on. It did not sweep past anything that would change any sort of bullish structure. In fact, we're still well within this range. We may oscillate within this range for a couple weeks. We may have a fake out to the upside, come back into this, fake out to the downside, come back into this. There's no telling what's going to happen with how much excitement because of the new capital that is present in this market. And the new capital represents new and different types of players in this space because now Wall Street is here. This may mitigate the downside, meaning limit how much downside movement we get in this market, but it also may instigate them triggering moves that will shake you out so that they can take your capital. Do not get shaken out right now. Coming back over to this chart, where were we at? By the way, if you're not following us, you're watching this anywhere else, make sure you head over to youtube.com/@BitLab Academy or just search BitLab Academy. Give us a follow. There's only one BitLab Academy. Anybody out there maybe faking and taking our information, there's only one, and it's the one with me right here. Now, coming back over to looking at some of these charts, let's go back to this capital flow. It's still looking very bullish. It's come down. It's kind of reset. I don't think of this as being, this is scary. I think, oh, great, this is resetting so we can have another move. You see, reset. All these resets right at the beginning here before this move. Reset, and all the way, the price action was moving to the upside. Markets have to chop in order to operate because there's always buyers and there's always sellers. So let's not be scared right now while this is happening. We have to pay attention also, as I said, to the Bitcoin to S&P 500 correlation here. What we're seeing is how Bitcoin price operates correlated or overlaid with what's going on with S&P 500. We want to think Bitcoin is so separated because, yes, sometimes it outruns things, but generally the trend direction is the same. The S&P 500 is having, and the traditional assets in general, are having a bit of a correction. But let's go ahead and pull this up. Let's go ahead and look at those really quick. And yes, we want to talk about Bitcoin. We want to talk about altcoins, but we have to look to these signals outside of these assets because they sometimes will give you a leading head start as to what the risk narrative of markets is. The DXY, dollar index, had this breakout to the upside, still hasn't fully signaled that it really wants to move down yet, other than the fact that we do have, look, a little bit of bearish divergence here with the RSI is about the same level while this is much higher. We have the much lower lows here on the much lower highs, I should say, on this orange line, which is the stochastics. But this is also kind of shaped like a bull flag. So mixed signals here. We really, doesn't have to happen, but we really would like to see the dollar start breaking down a little bit. But we're in the face of a geopolitical conflict right now. So some people are moving their assets towards safety. That's why we need to understand this risk narrative. And then we look over here at NVIDIA. We're talking about all these AI plays. Well, look at this. It's kind of losing a little bit of this support that we had here. If this does move down further, this may also signal a little bit of pressure on all those AI plays that you have out there. S&P 500, this is the ETF trust, but breaking down. So while Bitcoin is setting up for what feels like incredible bullishness, this does not mean that Bitcoin is also going to break down along with S&P 500. It may just result in a tampered, suppressed bullish response. It may mean we go sideways for a bit because there is so much underlying bullishness about where we're at in the market cycle. This also could signal that we do see Bitcoin move to the downside. So let's be patient here. We're looking at altcoins. I mean, on the macro, we get so zoomed into the micro. Looking at the macro, we are incredibly in the best position we could even imagine. Now, when we come over here and we look at, for instance, let's look at Polygon. If we look at this on a 15-minute chart, zoom out a little bit, we're like, oh my God, it's over. But then we come back to this chart right here and we go, oh, it's just doing what it does every macro cycle. This is when you're looking at the broader data, it will give you confidence over time of what's happening. Now, let's kind of go through a couple of these and just take a look. Ethereum breaking down, coming down to these targets that we've had outlined is 2,700 next. As it stands right now, we do have a sort of a double bottom here and we have higher lows. Let's go ahead and look at higher lows. We also have the momentum wave with the higher low here as well. So let's pay attention to what happens here. We really want to see this. Let's move this. We really want to see this get back above 3,200 here, which is this macro trend line that has been in place all the way back here since October 2022. This is that channel that we're paying attention to, that it bounced, giving it a lot of authority that this line is something we need to pay attention to. We came right down into the zone that we have marked out, and so we want to pay attention. If this does move up, this does not mean the bulls are fully back in charge. We need to clear this zone with authority to really start moving back up. If we lose this, again, it's not the end of the world because we know what is coming in the market cycles. I am looking at what's happening right now. If we do get downside action, we say, hallelujah, I get another opportunity to stack. Or if you don't have anything to stack, then sometimes it's just the universe telling you, here's how you practice some patience. Because something magical is coming, whether it's in a week, a month, or even a year. These things don't always play out exactly as we want. If you have patience and strategy on your side, you're not going to lose your mind. Now, coming down to ETH Bitcoin, this is an important chart. This is the ETH pair against Bitcoin. And we see this has been breaking down. We come out here to the 12-hour chart. This has been breaking down since all the way back here, September 2022. I mean, technically, you could say all the way back here, December 21, because this comes down and we have a lower high here. So technically, we'll start it from here just to be a little bit, but we have this downtrend, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, breakdown, lower high, kind of intermediary lows in a range, but then breaking down between this region. Now, this is interesting because this line, it's a little bit scary, honestly. This is a 7-year line all the way back to December 2016. ETH's value in respect to Bitcoin. And remember, the ETH ETF is likely to not be approved, more likely than not to not be approved in May, which is just around the corner, which could deal a little bit of a short-term blow to Ethereum as well. And Ethereum, in some ways, is a bit of a signal for the rest of the altcoin market as well. And we just looked at MATIC, but MATIC, you know, has this rising level of resistance, just rejection, deviation, rejection, down, hitting all three targets that we've had. The next target down, I would say, would be about right here. Let's actually put this up just a touch. Right here, we've already had a wick down into the zone, and we've kind of, the bulls ate this back up. Let's watch what happens here in this zone if we can form a little bit of a bottom and then potentially start moving up. Near, also looking a little toppy here on the 3-day, pushing up. We're starting to break down. Came right into this previous all-time high. If you're not sure where prices go at the most basic level of TA, and you're looking at the price action with no lines on the chart, you're like, if this is up here, if it were to go down, where do I look? Move your mouse and see what's on the chart, and just move, have the cursors where they go all the way across the chart like mine do here. And if you want to know how to do that, go to the BitLab Academy page, scroll down, actually come to home and scroll down right here to the daily alpha and watch this pro trading view guide. I show you how to adjust your cursors, set up templates, all the stuff. But you see how my lines go across the screen. So if I think this might break down or I want to prepare for it, I just move my mouse and see where this hits the last previous top. Boom, right here. Option H. This is that level. And look where the price came down to. That's the most basic form of TA, looking at previous price levels, lows and highs, and we see this bounced. So we have to see what is going to play out here. But remember, just because of halving's here, the bullish catalyst of all catalysts, it's not immediate. There's some work that needs to be done, and sometimes that work is just our own patience. Link, where are we at? Link, kind of working its way down. Below this level too. I mean, we got to pay attention to this because Link is one of the most utilitarian assets in the crypto ecosystem. Also, I feel like has a bit of a positive nod from BlackRock. So as this is breaking down from the highs up here, which currently results in a 48% discount from the highs, the recent highs that it had back here in 11th of March, 2024. Now we're at a 48% off sale. Now, here's the deal. Everybody sees this running away and they're like, damn it, I didn't get in. I didn't get in. I didn't get in. Here's the dip. What are you doing? Ask yourself what you're doing. Cardano had this rising, broadening wedge, broke down, kind of sat under it, and then started breaking down, creating this trend line between these two. And then as this came back up, look where it rejected. Now we have a little bit of a head and shoulders here and also a neckline, and it just fell all the way out. But this is starting to look a little bit bullish. If we look at this with the indicators on, we have broken above the weekly VWAP, which is this yellow line right here. I call it the arbiter of trend. If the price action and breaks below it and then we reject on it, this means the big money players and the market participants in general want to play a negative spread, aka send the price down, have the price come back and reject at it. So what do? Come down, come back, reject at it, and then the bears really take conviction. Down, chop sideways until we hit it, fake out, down, 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 and then finally the bulls take back over. In the interim, we need to see this either push much higher or have a little bit of a move to the downside, find support in this region, and then start moving up. This is how we start building confidence. SEI, I don't think we looked at this lately. Same thing. Look at this. Rejection, breaks through, finds support regionally. Now, this scared people, these coins that aren't massive, right? Even if it's $1 billion or $2 billion or $3 billion, even 20 billion, this is tiny in the scheme of assets. These are easy to push around, and there's a lot of charged risk behavior on this. So although we want this to find support on the weekly VWAP, this is essentially the same thing. It comes down, flushes people out, finds support on the trend signal line instead, and then now breaks past this high. So this is starting, this is a construction of what's known as a rounding bottom. See how the lows are getting deeper. Now it's starting to roll out to the upside, and we're breaking past previous highs here. Boom, right here, breaks past that previous high. This is what I'm talking about right here. Pushes up, tests down, and breaks past that high. This is signaling maybe there is a bounce in play. Stacks. Also, look, this actually got rejected basically somewhat at the weekly VWAP. Finds support on the trend signal line and now has broken past this high and is trying, things are trying to make the move. But the market right now is ripe. The market is ripe right now for choppy behavior that can absolutely chop you out. Now, I have to say something to everybody right now. There are some big things at play going on right now with BitLab Academy. We have a back-end, not partnership, a payment provider that we are having issues with, and we're likely going to be rolling over to a new payment provider. And it's right here on the Bitcoin halving. And in all honesty, it turns out to be absolutely incredible for everybody that is a BitLab member, and also incredibly useful for everybody that's not yet a BitLab member, because we are going to be rolling something out in the next, probably this afternoon. That's going to run for several days. It's going to be an incredible Bitcoin halving special. It will require everybody that is currently a member. I'm talking about not to the YouTube. I'm talking about the member of BitLab Academy. We will need everybody to likely resubscribe, but there's going to be some huge incentive there, and it's also going to lower your monthly costs and give you some really great options there, and the halving. So why not a half month free, right? Why not half off our full pricing? Why not? There's a lot of stuff we're giving there that just to make it easy for everybody. So I will appreciate more than anything that we can maintain this community and continue building. And I appreciate your patience through this. I will be sending out a couple videos and some information as we roll this out once we finalize exactly what we're going to do. But make no worry. We're going to make sure everybody's taken care of. Now, with that being said, let's hop back in over to these charts and just get a look before we go for the day. TOTAL3 wanted to make us believe that it was likely going to be pushing to the upside and, oh, we're going to break out. But then, no, we lost this level, came down. We want to start seeing this TOTAL3, which is all the altcoins. We want to start seeing this break up, start making some headway. This will be signaling that the altcoins are really trying to rally. So remember, before we go, again, this chart right here, a lot of sideways action and chop. When you're looking at this zoomed in, it doesn't feel like sideways action. Remember that. You're going to feel like, no, this time's different. But when we come back over to that place and time on the charts, and we look right here, when we zoom in on this, God dang it. When we zoom in on this and we are within the days, does this look like sideways price action? It sure doesn't. It feels like, oh no, there's a lot of activity. But when you understand how high we're going to be going in this coming bull trend, and when we look back at this, when we see the 20%, 30% swings back and forth, 14%, and then up 20%, and then down 14%, and then massive pump up, 34, 35% plus, followed again by a massive dump back down. What is this doing? This is saying, get off this coin if you don't deserve the profits. So my question to every one of you right now is, do you deserve the profits? What is your goal in this cycle? Where are you taking profits? If it has nothing to do with right now, right about where the halving is, then don't capitulate if the market shakes around. And now with that being said, we want to make sure that absolutely everybody here, make sure that you protect the capital that you do have. So make sure, shout out to our channel partners here, Arculus, best crypto cold storage wallet in the game. You can head over to getarculus.com. And when you come over here and you're trying to basically add one of these, and remember, you have the biometric lock. You also have the numeric pin. You also have the card, 3 levels of security. If you lose the card, it doesn't matter because the people don't have your face and they also don't have your pin. You can reload that wallet onto a new card if you need. When you're getting these, use the code DC20 for 20% off. Again, special shout out to the Get Arculus team. I love it. It's my favorite crypto wallet. It's really cool too. So big love to each and every one of you. If you would, stay tuned, hit the notification below, and check in with Discord if you're a member there. Even if you're not a member there, remember, we have a free section of the Discord. If I'm going to go ahead and share this with everybody right now, there is a link down below. Invite people, copy. This is a link to our BitLab Discord. Join BitLab Discord. There's a free section, and you'll also get updated on, I just put it in the live chat. There's a free section. There's an update that I'm going to be giving that's going to tell you exactly how to take the huge promo deal that we're doing around the Bitcoin halving, and also making sure if you are a BitLab member, how to basically maintain access and also lower your monthly rate. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. There's a lot going on today. I have to cut this one a little short. So if you would, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell, and stay classy, San Diego. This market's about to rip, but not before it jumps and dips. And be patient with the chop. That's all I got. Adios, muchachos. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always tuning in. TheBitLabAcademy.com. Hit that like button, sucker.